Hello, everyone, and welcome to our E3 wrap up here at Saturday Morning Gaming and the Saturday Morning Coffee Podcast. Today, with me, pretty much as always, I am joined by JKU 390, aka Jordan,
How's it going, everybody?
and I'm also joined by my buddy Scott, aka Scott Dog Gaming.
I'm his buddy.
Yeah. Take that,
Hello.
Jordan.
That's
So,
fair.
guys, what do you think of E3? It's come, it's gone, it is behind us. Tell me what you think.
I don't know. E3's kind of gotten to a point where, there's the occasional, surprise, game pops out, but most of the time at this point, either something leaks or they just say what's going to be there. So most of the time it's just, that looks neat, but nothing really too exciting for me anymore.
That's fair, I guess. We did kind of hit up most of the stuff last week going into it before it even started. We kind of knew what was going to be coming, but I don't know. Seeing it and reading it, two different things in my opinion.
Yeah, E3 is E3. It goes on forever and has a lot of announcements, but most of those announcements you already know. I guess most of the stuff we knew was going to be there was there, and then maybe one or two other bits, but nothing that blew me away. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's fair. Who do you guys think? The question going into or coming out of every E3, I guess, is who quote unquote won E3. So what press conference do you think struck the most chords with you?
The one-off indie games and stuff. Like the things that had their own separate individual stuff.
Yeah, such as?
Destiny.
That's an indie game?
No, but things like, well, not even necessarily indie, but just stuff that didn't necessarily have a panel. Like Microsoft had its own panel, but they actually waited until the day after to announce separately that Halo Wars 2 had an expansion pack with more campaign following like the enemies fighting the Flood and all of this other stuff. And that's just something they didn't say during the Microsoft panel and then just had it as its own separate entity.
Right.
So stuff like that was for me like, oh, that's cool. Opposed to, I know what Microsoft's going to have. They're going to have the new Xbox. I know what PlayStation's going to have. They're going to have Spider-Man. I know what Nintendo's going to have. 20 expansions for Zelda. So.
Hey, there was only 3 expansions for Zelda.
I think there were 2. But yeah.
On that note, I think Nintendo came out with the biggest shiny bow at the end of it.
I have to agree.
You know what? I as much as I
slag off the Pokemon thing.
As much as I slag off Nintendo from if anyone's ever listened to any of these other podcasts will know this.
They have.
I'm not a fan of the same stuff over and over and over again. However, the same Nintendo stuff coming out again looks interesting, whereas Assassin's Creed looks very much like Assassin's Creed. Far Cry looks quite a lot like Far Cry. The one thing I would say is it seemed like a very safe E3 to me. There didn't seem to be much happening that looked like it was going to blow me away. And even like the new IP from BioWare, Anthem, looked like a cross between Mass Effect and a number of other games. Nothing I saw made me think, you know what, I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
I was hoping to be on this podcast and be quite positive and say, I'm really looking forward to this and looking forward to that. But there was nothing there that made me stand up and think, you know what, that's the future of what we're doing, of what we're going to be playing. That's changed things. It was just a very, very safe show from everybody.
I agree. And there was cool stuff, just nothing new.
Yeah, I can definitely agree there.
Them all.
I can definitely agree, but I have to say I'm a little on the other side of things. Yes, it was all safe, but it honestly got me excited about a lot of things. One thing that took me by surprise was the Skyrim VR that's coming out. That it got me excited in the pants.
Is that coming out for what? For the PlayStation?
PlayStation VR. Which it's from the trailer that I saw, I'm hopeful that it's gonna be done right, and it's Skyrim, so they do a great job. But
yeah, they can release the game 4 times. It's awesome.
More than that, shit.
I mean, I'm surprised that they don't wait and see what happens with Fallout to see if it's worth doing it.
I guess it was probably one of those things where Sony just tried to quickly pick up the ability to get it for the VR, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, we'll sell."
Yeah, I
Kind of
don't know.
How Destiny 2 for PlayStation gets like its own exclusive maps and stuff.
You know what? I think the biggest loser this E3. I might be jumping ahead here, Jesse. I think the biggest loser this E3 was probably VR.
Yeah, I could see that.
This should have been the first real showing of VR after releases and all the rest of those things, saying this is what we're capable of.
Yeah, instead they're like, we're going to
Right.
go back to some games and see what we can do with that.
But you know what? To me, to be honest, E3 has always been to me about consoles. It's more of a console gaming thing than anything. And if anything is going to break out as far as VR goes, it's going to be on the PC. Yes, I have a PS. That's what I play, but it's definitely the most underpowered of all the VR and everything. So if you're going to be seeing any of the wow factor for VR, it's going to be coming from the PC.
Yeah, but those things, if they're good enough, still get shown at E3.
Well, don't worry, Jesse.
Yeah.
You know what they're having come for the PC?
Well,
The definitive edition of the original Age of Empires.
yeah, I saw
After
that.
20 years. I've always been more of a fan of the second one. A lot more fun playing that one with like large groups of friends, but I really did like the original Age of Empires. But it's
I
still
always
one of
did.
those things where I was hoping for more new stuff. Besides, like, Cliff Legacy's Lawbreakers, which we saw last year, which is just, he just happened to be making a game that looked just like Overwatch at the same time as Overwatch.
Yeah, right.
And then all of the games that could have been Xbox exclusives. That's what PC dropped.
Yeah, pretty much. What else? It came through.
And then, of course, I guess Xbox had nothing to do with X reality at all.
Nothing at all, which actually kind of surprised me because I was figuring with their announcement of the Xbox X, there would be something to do with their alternate reality. What is that? Not alternate reality, but altered. What's the AR?
Augmented.
Augmented. Thank you. The augmented reality and their VR. I figured something would come of it, but
I mean, they
It's
did
weird.
have something to do with reality. The reality that you could spend $500 on a console that does the same as your current console, just slightly better.
Yeah,
That
no,
was-
it's
that was-
100% true.
That was a reality that they want
Yeah.
people to go out and buy.
And then
same
the real
thing again.
reality will be that people will in fact buy it.
Yeah.
some people will buy it.
Well, that's
I
exactly
think
what I just
lots
said.
of people are going to buy it.
Some people will buy it. And as we've already discussed this, they've got such a narrow marketplace for this.
Yeah, it's going to be the
They're-
people that want to get all the consoles, the people who want to play Xbox on 4K, the people that didn't get an Xbox before and they're like, oh, I might as well get this one because if I get a 4K TV, it can look nicer.
And the people who are Xbox fanboys.
yeah, no, exactly.
God, I need to
know
get
what?
that.
All this is done, though, in my eyes, all this is done is highlight the need for Xbox and PlayStation to be fighting over those exclusives even more, which isn't good for gaming.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I always have, ever since the Nintendo Sega fight way back in Generation 1, like I've always hated the yeah, I know. I always hated the split that there is and felt that it kind of divided gaming, if you will.
Oh, it did. That's
It
why you got
does.
Nintendo kids and Sega kids.
Yeah, that's why you still have PlayStation, Xbox. You still have it. And unfortunately, the way I see it, I think it will always be there. Will always be that split.
Well, yeah, competition's probably, it's a healthy thing, but it's true that is going to happen as a result. Unfortunately, at this point, they're just making the exact same console, so exclusive is all they can work for. I mean, obviously, yeah, there's difference in terms of what they're capable of and, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, they're not too different.
Yeah, not really. Should we talk a bit about exclusives? What we saw in this E3 of Xbox versus PlayStation?
Yeah, but I think the game that's got the most exclusives is Nintendo.
That's true. That's very true.
They, like I said, they got the 2 new DLCs for Breath of the Wild, which was, expected. That was their bread and butter. It was their launch
Well,
game.
It's not really actually new because I have a Switch, and they've been announcing the DLCs for a while on the Switch. I think this is more of a displaying what is to come of it. But yeah, no, I agree. There's those two. There's also the new Yoshi and Kirby, which are both coming to Switch, which look fucking amazing.
Yeah, and then Kyle's excited because they got Metroid Prime 4 coming.
Yeah, although did anyone see that trailer?
No, I did not because
It was literally a 4 in the Metroid 4, and that was it. They didn't show anything.
Well, that's okay because then they also have the big Pokemon series. They're making like a core game for the Switch, and that's all they know. Like there's literally no other information about it, but people are.
But that's actually a ginormous step forward in Pokemon.
It absolutely
in
is,
the
but I
world.
don't know why they never did that prior.
Oh, I agree full-fledgedly. I don't know why they never put a Pokemon core game on a home system.
Yeah.
But I think it has a lot to do with the fact that the Switch is both, a on-the-go system and a core system. So maybe that's why they're trying to make the transition. Who knows?
Yes. And then, of course, you got Mario launching October.
That's right. I just noticed that. I was still expecting it in December. All right. I love that
We
silence.
were pausing while you were talking to Autumn.
Well, I figured you guys would talk on, but anyway, we'll edit that. That's fine. But no, I have to say the Mario trailer did get me excited for Mario Odyssey. Prior to that, I was like a little iffy about it. I kind of felt like it was going to be a Sonic Boom situation, but it's looking kind of intriguing.
You know what? As someone who grew up with Nintendo and then has never really felt the need to get back into Nintendo, I have to say that from the outside watching Nintendo, although I feel like Nintendo won, I don't feel like there was anything there to get me excited or interested. There
Yeah.
was nothing there that made me think I'm going to go and buy a Switch.
That makes sense. I think my excitement came more not from, a oh my god, they blew me away, more from okay, now I'm seeing why I have a Switch, if that makes sense.
But
Like
all those games look to me like they could quite easily be on the Wii U.
oh yeah, without a doubt, but I think I think it makes me more excited to own the Switch than I already am. If that
Well,
makes
you're going to have more than one game for it, yeah, so I understand
exactly. Yeah.
that. The whole thing just I'm wondering to myself, are we at a point where we've seen all we're going to see from games? Is it going to drive forward again, or are we now at some kind of plateau where games aren't going to get any different? We're just going to see the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, you need some new console to come out.
Well, I don't even know if you need that. I mean, VR should be the driver of stuff.
It
But we're
should
not
be,
seeing-
but
We're not really seeing anything there.
we're unfortunately at the Hollywood situation again, where people just don't want to take the gamble.
Well, I think a big part of it too is the fact that VR technically is still in its infancy.
It is,
Yeah.
But already we've seen developers have had to come up with new ways of solving problems. Because
Right,
that's
well,
what VR is. However, we're now at a point, if you take VR out of the equation, we're at a point where the same games religiously are coming out, and even indie developers are adding other game elements into their games that have been used elsewhere. Are we at a point where we have discovered all of the possible ways to use a mouse and keyboard and a controller and the human mind to say, we can't make anything new, we're just going to have to continue to make the same stuff because this is where the level is?
I not only really hope that we're not at that point, but I really don't think we're at that point. I think it's just we're at a point where people are comfortable, and
Yeah, that's it right there. People are comfortable.
To me, I mean, if you look at gaming as a whole, when it was born till now, we're really kind of only now seeing a huge rise in popularity. Like if you even look about 10 years ago or so, everyone was like, if you were a gamer, you were kind of a black sheep. You were a nerd or a geek. And now gaming is becoming so pop culture and so in the limelight that the people who are now they're making games for that for everyone, and it's when they start making games again for the gamers is when we're gonna see the interesting things coming, the stuff that's coming out of left field that everyone's like, oh my god, that's awesome, you know.
Yep, we gotta wait for the next generation of companies.
Designers.
Yeah, because right now, well, it's not really the designers; it's the people that are in charge. That's
Oh,
the
it's
but now we're at a
the
point
people
where,
that are paying and putting money into all the funding and projects and stuff.
but now
Those are
we're
the people that have to say yes.
Yeah, but now we're at a point where it's easier than ever to make your own game.
Yep.
And yet, I still feel like we're seeing very, very similar stuff over and over and over again. And
It's
I don't know
all the
what's
characters are
different,
even
and
the same.
I don't know what's different, and I don't know how you change it. I'm concerned that we've reached a point where, you know what? Yeah, we're comfortable. Yes, it's the biggest growing industry out there, but you know what was there to get excited about E3? I'm sure there was stuff. I'm sure some people, you know, Nintendo fanboys will be delighted with what they saw. Xbox fanboys will be delighted with a new console. PlayStation fans will be delighted with a God of War game and whatever else was on the PlayStation.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man looks good.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, whenever I originally saw it, I thought it looked a lot cooler than it did now that I saw the gameplay. Now that I saw the gameplay, it looked like they tried to make Arkham, but with Spider-Man.
My concern about Spider-Man is it looks very, very quick events heavy.
Yeah, which I mean, I guess you kind of have to do with Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, it looks amazing in terms of
the game looks great.
A bit like Battlefront 2 looks amazing, but it's the same game. You know, they've just added some new locations. Great, thanks for that. You know, and I don't know what I expected, and a single player mode, which will be fun for the 6 or 7 hours it lasts, I would imagine. You know, I'm just at a point where maybe I'm just old and miserable, but I'm just at a point where I'm failing to see the stuff to get excited about, which I've seen in several, even like The Division a few years ago, blew me away when I saw it. I just thought this looks different to everything I've seen before. You know, being based in the city, the way it's sort of an MMO, and it felt like it was different to stuff. I mean, it turned out to be shit, but it felt like, and Watch Dogs before that, all those sorts of games where you think this is the one. I don't have any of those from this E3. I don't have a single one where I thought, you know what, this is the thing to look forward to.
And sadly, all those games did bad, so nobody kept pushing the boundary there to see if anything could happen.
But then, that being said, those games weren't groundbreaking. They blew me away with what I'd seen at that point in time.
Yeah.
You know, out of all the games that I saw at E3 in the previous years, they were the ones that stood out. This year, I can't pick one that stands out.
Yeah.
I can't put my finger at one and say, that's the game I'm looking forward to. I'll put it in the calendar for when it's coming out. If I did, it would probably be the South Park game.
Yeah, and for me, it'd probably be Destiny 2.
And even then, it's not because of anything other than it's South Park. You know, I'm really struggling to see the real benefits of, you know, and even like Sea of Thieves, which looks fun. Not 100% convinced by it, but it looks fun. Yeah. There's a copycat game coming out from Ubisoft. A pirate adventure game with your friends.
Yeah,
it just feels like, okay, they're making one. Let's quickly get on the bandwagon. I expect in real world it was probably being developed long before the announcement of Sea of Thieves came out.
Skull and Bones.
But at the same time, even then, we're still making two identical games pretty much.
Well, and the thing is, it seems like, you know, it kind of followed the whole idea of Assassin's Creed 4 was the big pirate game. And I don't know, before that, it kind of seemed like it was cowboys for a while. Stuff like whenever Red Dead came out, I saw all kinds of stuff with cowboys. And then whenever...
Well, these things definitely come in waves.
Yeah.
Oh, they do. They definitely follow cycles. They all need to make a game like that, but it's all feel the same whenever they do it.
Yeah. Well, it always feels like one game wins when that happens, and all the other ones are just kind of, they feel like ripoffs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Minecraft,
I have to
example.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. I have to say, though, piggybacking on your point, Scott, I think as far as like the E3s of the world goes, we're not going to see that innovation at these type of conferences, because all the innovation nowadays is going to come from indie games.
Well, hold on. What about No Man's Sky?
No Man's Sky is a different story.
No Man's Sky, we
an indie
saw.
game.
No Man's
Yep.
Sky, for the first time we saw at E3, and it blew everyone's mind. It was something completely different to anyone had done before.
See,
Yeah,
No
but
Man's
back
Sky.
then it was an indie game.
No, but
exactly.
we all know what happened since that point. But when that was first seen, it was different to everything anyone had ever seen.
Right,
and we
but
saw
see,
it first at E3.
right, but the thing is, what happened with No Man's Sky, and exactly, it was its downfall as well, is PlayStation saw this game that was going to be different from everything else, that had the possibility of being something amazing, like you were saying, and they pushed for it because they saw the same thing that you saw, that everything's getting stagnant, that they need that interesting new concept and new idea. So they pushed it forward, and they were like, okay, we're making you the star of this E3. Blow us all away. And then, of course...
And then they'll get it
Yeah,
done
but-
next month.
So what you're saying is the reason they haven't done that this time is because they're worried about the possible No Man's Sky outcome, which means they've got no confidence in their games in the first place.
Kind
Maybe.
of. I mean, that's
Which
kind
is-
of why Valve always does so good, is
which
because
isn't
Valve
that-
finds other companies that are making games and is like, hey, we'll buy that.
Isn't that more concerning than anything else?
Well,
If game developers, because of things like No Man's Sky, have lost all all confidence in games like No Man's Sky or producing games like that because they could fail.
yeah, that's, I think, 100%
Yeah.
true, though.
But these people have more money than any to be able to fail and still carry on.
Yeah.
Right, but
And
they
let's
have
be
to-
honest, the rewards it brings if they succeed is through the roof.
Yep. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of the
that-
investment is short
But that is worth a risk. If you say to any businessman, yes, there's a gamble, but if we get it right, we're making all
Yes,
of the
but-
money in the world.
But see, that's the difference between being an indie game where you have one or two financial backers and being a game that's coming out of a giant corporation that has a bunch of stockholders to answer to.
I disagree because I think any company of that size, if they see that on the line is all of those profits, they go for it.
Well, they don't, because then they push
They
the game
don't.
out immediately and they go for the short-term investment rather than long-term possibilities.
Yeah, but they're not making them, so they're not doing that either. The point is that if someone said to you, okay, it's exactly the same as gambling, I suppose.
Yeah, but it's different for us. We're gamers. We care about. There's people that invest in this stuff that just want a quick buck, and that's
They
it.
just want the
But
money. They
these
don't.
people are paying the best developers and the best games designers in the world to produce stuff for them.
Correct. And then the people
So
that are
if
paying
this-
them are a bunch of idiots that are trying
if
to quickly
this-
make a buck.
And this is what I'm saying, that if they're still not willing to take a risk with all that behind them, then we're fucked.
Yes.
So I've got no confidence in my game, so I'm going to say the same old shit. We're not going to let these creative people come up with new stuff. We're going to make them work on the same old stuff. We're not moving forward. We're never going to move forward unless the indie games come along. And as you said, No Man's Sky was an indie game when it started, and look what happened to it. Now, it's a bit unfortunate with what happened to it. Yes, a lot of it was down to hype, and at the same time, it was something new, and it was shown at E3, and we all got excited by it. The fact that then no one's done that this year worries me.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I really think that at this point, it's just to make the quick buck. And not necessarily for the developers themselves. I'm sure the people who are actually physically handcrafting these games have a great dream for it. They see all kinds of possibilities, but they also have limitations and time constraints.
I mean, the way I see it is this: the whole reason that I'm not worried at all, like, yes, it sucks that all the major, the top of the line companies that make video games aren't willing to take those risks. That sucks, but I'm not worried about it because in the past few years, all the major indie games have come out of Kickstarter or all those crowdfunding ones. If there's a good idea for a game, people will see that it's made.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not
But-
worried.
But are we not looking for the best of both? Do we not want the good idea for a game being made?
Do we want it? Yes.
Plus, we want it made by the best people who can make it.
Yes. Do we want it made like that? Yes. Is it going to be made like that at first? Probably not, unfortunately. But it will be.
Yeah, we're gonna just need our No Man's Skies where there's a company. Again, that goes back to like I said, they just find indie developers that are making a game that looks cool. It's like, hey, we'll buy that.
I mean, that's no different to what I mean. We did see indie games on the Microsoft and PlayStation thing. They always, every year, they do their these are our indie games. You know, where you see what was it, Way Out or No Way Out or something like that. That split screen jailbreak, prison break style game. That's supposedly an indie game. Looks like the most polished indie game of all time. Which,
I agree.
fair
It
enough.
did look fun though. Like it looked like in other games I've seen, but it looked like it could be fun to sit down and play.
You know, out of all the things I saw, that was probably the most different. I say the most different. It's going back to what, 15 years when there was previously co-op multiplayer, co-op split screen action at home.
I think that's one of the part that I enjoyed is because I like playing games.
But we're saying it's different. It's not different. It's just going back to a mechanic that we've forgotten.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
To be fair,
I don't know.
To be fair, I've always hated split screen.
Oh, sorry,
like-
we don't want to play it with you anyway.
No, I mean, come on. I paid $50-$60 for this game. I don't want to share half of my screen with someone else, all right? I want the whole thing.
We did say that. I mean, it seems weird to me at the very start. It seems a bit odd, but I guess it's about the storytelling because you're constantly seeing what the other person's doing. If there's a cutscene, you're going to see it, which I quite like.
Yeah, and it's cool that like one person could be doing some type of story thing and the other person's off, trying to explore.
Yeah, it seems all right, but I just, if that's where we are in terms of our innovation, I did inverted commas, but if that's where we are in terms of our innovation, then I think we've got issues.
Oh, the whole gaming industry as a whole has issues. There's no question about.
So let's have a look at the individual, the big developers, and say what stood out for us. So Nintendo, what was the thing that caught your eye the most?
Rocket League.
Really?
At 720, 60 frames per second, by the way.
That's what
Thing
caught
that
your eye
Nintendo
most?
had, I already knew about. I mean,
I'd say
the
the Mario
Pokemon
Rabbids,
thing.
the Mario Rabbids games was the
That
one
I
that
wasn't
caught my
even
eye
gonna
most.
count as Mario, as Nintendo, because that was during the
Ubisoft.
Yeah. No, that did catch my eye, and I'm totally gonna pick that up in August. That's gonna be amazing. For me, Nintendo hit it home with the Yoshi and the Kirby. The Yoshi looks like back how it was in, say, the Yarn, whatever that Yarn one, Woolly, whatever.
Yeah.
It was. That I think
Yoshi
that was a
Woolly
great
World.
game. Yep, and the Kirby actually reminds me of Smash Brothers, but in a Kirby game, like a platform.
Whenever I
Smash
saw
Brothers.
Kirby, I couldn't tell the difference between that and the old like Game Boy Kirby's.
I could see that, but I never played those. But
Yeah.
I mean, I know what you're
It
saying.
does look like the N64/GameCube
Yeah.
Smash Kirby, though. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and with the multiplayer, I think the way the Switch is set up to be inherently multiplayer anyway, I think those are both gonna be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, with a Pokemon coming for it, you can't go wrong.
Except that's not going to be for over a year.
I
Oh, it's
love
gonna be a
that
long time.
the Switch is inherently multiplayer. Come and play this game while I take a shit on the toilet. Really?
Well, to me, it's inherently multiplayer. The controller splits in half and turns into two controllers.
Yeah, because that's comfortable.
I mean, it works.
Go out and buy
you know?
a proper fucking controller. Seriously, come on.
Have you seen the prices of controllers
I
nowadays?
have. I've also seen the price of the Switch for one game. Doesn't feel like I'm paying over the odds for a controller.
Well, that's the
I've
thing.
also
That's,
actually, speaking of that, I've also seen the price of Switch's controllers. What the hell
Yeah.
is going on there?
Are they
It's the same
ridiculous?
price as a normal controller.
It's like 55 quid or something for a controller.
That's how much it is for PlayStation or Xbox.
yeah, $60 for wireless.
It's 34 quid for a controller over here for an Xbox or a PlayStation. It's
Well-
55 quid for a controller over here for a Switch.
See, it's not that way over here. It's $60 all around,
It
whatever
also depends
console.
You go wired or wireless.
Yeah,
Speaking of custom, the Control Studio thing is in the UK now.
Is it? I
You
won't
like
pay
what?
attention to that. Cool.
No, but that's
Yeah, I
just
think-
another one of those gear things. It's there, it's in France, and it's in Germany.
No, I thought the Yoshi game looks like the most intriguing of all of them, and the cutest. if I'm
Yeah.
honest. It's got
It's
that.
very
It's
cute.
got that appeal to it. Feels like I've seen most of it before, but it feels like it's.
Well,
out of all the Nintendo games, that was the one
They're
that stood
one
out
of
to me, even ahead of the Mario Odyssey.
the Yoshis and all that. Those are games that are great family games.
Hmm.
Like
Which
stuff
is-
down like Jesse could play with his daughter, or like even people now like
Exactly.
our age could probably show their parents and be like, "Hey, check this out."
Well, exactly. That's the way I'm looking at it with the Switch. Those are all both the Yoshi and the Kirby, amazing games that I'm definitely going to play with Autumn.
Okay, so Sony.
They got Spider-Man.
Spider-Man did look fucking amazing.
Yeah, God of War comes out next year.
Although I have to say, my Sony winner is Skyrim VR, just because that shit. I'm like I said, fingers crossed. I'm hoping they do it justice. But if they did, I'm going to spend so much time playing that game.
I mean, you could just play it normally, like
No,
10
but
years-
you, but
like
it's
10 years ago.
Yeah,
yes, but the thing is, like walking around, holding my arm to shield up shit, or throwing fireballs, or actually swinging a sword.